Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the part 10 of the DBMS Mini Project series. In this video, we are going to learn how to make a sliding panel in your Windows Forms app in C# using Visual Studio. Let me just show you a quick demo. So here we have our app body, okay, and this is my sliding panel. If I click on here, I can extend this and I can retract this. So this sliding panel effect is what we're going to work on, okay. So without wasting much time, let's get into the video and see how this is done. So here is the form as we have left it in the previous video. So now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'll take a panel. Sorry, that's panel. Okay. And I'm going to drop it into my design. Now what I'll do is I'll keep the panel here. I'll go to this property called as dock, and I'm going to choose it to be left dock. Okay, so that kind of sticks in my panel towards the left side. All right, so this is going to be the panel which is going to slide out and slide in. Okay, so this panel will have to do the size. So here if you see, what we're actually doing is the width of the panel is being altered, right? So if I want this panel to slide in, I'm reducing its width, and if I wanted to slide out, I'm increasing its width. Okay, so we'll have to programmatically do that. Okay, so now before we do that, let us add in some tabs here. Now for the tabs, what I will do is I will take in buttons. Here we have the buttons. So what I'm going to do is I'll take one button here. I will resize this button. Okay, and I will remove this text. I don't want it to be called as button one. Okay, so I'll remove this text, and now I'll just align this button here. Okay, I'll try to get the perfect alignment. Then I'll drag this on to this place, make it a little bit more kind of the size. So I just this is totally depending upon you. Like if you feel that this size is fine, it's you can just leave it here. Okay, so this is totally upon your preference. I kind of find this is okay. All right, so now what I'll do is I'll select this button. I'll go to a property called as the flat style property, and I will make it as flat. Okay, perfect. Now this panel which I've dragged and dropped, no, this is going to be my sliding panel which will be sliding inside and outside. So I'm going to change the name of this panel from panel 1 to sliding panel. Okay, so this panel is now the sliding panel, and this button is going to toggle the sliding. So when I click the button, the panel will either go in or come out. So that toggling will be done by this button. So I will be calling this as slider panel toggle button. So this button is going to be called as sliding panel toggle button. Okay, perfect. So now what I'll do is I'll go into the code of this. Okay, this button here, and this is the code of the button. So this is what has to happen when this button is clicked. So now let me start programming for the sliding function. And now I have to declare a few variables. So first thing, we'll have to keep a track of at any given time is this sliding panel contracted or if it's expanded. I need to know that. Okay, so at any given time, if I need to know that, I'm going to need to have a variable to keep a track of that. So let me declare a variable bool. It will be boolean, and the variable will be called as is sliding panel expanded. Okay, so the name itself is very self-explanatory. So the value of this this variable, okay, it will be true if this sliding panel is already expanded, and the value of that will be false if this is contracted like this or if it's retracted like that. Okay, perfect. So after that, what I'm going to do is I will make another variable. Now I need to know what is going to be the maximum width. Okay, now if this is the maximum width, it will slide up maximum till here, and if this is like the minimum width, it will slide down till there. So I also need to know which is my maximum width and which is my minimum width. So I'm going to make two separate variables to keep track of that. And also, because these values are going to be constant, because these values will not change in the program, so I'm going to call it as constant. Okay, so this makes sure that whatever variable I'm declaring here is actually a constant. Okay, so after I write this, I'm going to take it as integer. We'll call it as max slider width. Okay, I'll just leave it here like now. Similarly, I'll take another constant. Sorry. So right now I'm having two variables here, two public variables, and obviously I'll have to give some values to this. So as of now I'm not going to give this, I will leave it as it is, and it is showing me that there is an error, but later on I'll fix that. Okay, so once we have done this, we have got all the things that we need here. Okay, so then we need a timer for adjusting the sliding panel so that it will gradually come in and gradually go out. So let me drag and drop a timer quickly. Okay, and here I have the timer. I'm going to call this timer as the sliding panel timer. Perfect. So now let me click on this timer so that I can go to the code of the timer. Okay, now if this panel is clicked, that is if this toggle slider button is being clicked, then what I have to do is I have to see if the sliding panel is expanded or retracted. So what I'll do is I'll write if sliding is sliding panel. Okay, is sliding panel expanded? So if the sliding panel is expanded, then obviously I'll have to retract the panel. Okay, so the code will be like I'll just comment it as I'll have to retract. So panel else, or after this what I'll do is I'll transfer the control of the program from there to the timer panel tick event. Okay, okay, so this will start the timer, and here let us do what's going to happen when the timer is ticking. So that all that code has to be here. So inside this, what I'll do is again I'm going to see if the sliding panel is expanded or not. Okay, so this is kind of crucial to do it right now. So what I'll do is I'll do this first. So if it is expanded, obviously I'm going to have to retract the sliding panel, and to retract the sliding panel, I have to obviously keep decreasing the width of the sliding panel, right? So sliding panel width, so okay, sliding panel dot width minus equals to 30. So this is minus equal to, in the sense it's going to be the substitute for sliding panel dot width is equal to sliding panel dot width minus 30. So every time this thing loops around, it's going to reduce the width by 30. Okay, 30 in the sense it's going to be either 30 pixel or 30 units. So let's just call it as 30 for better understanding as of now. Okay, so once I reduce that, I need to know if the width, okay, now the width is going on reducing. Can you just imagine this right now? This is the width, okay? The width is going on reducing, and then there is a certain point where we have reached the minimum width. If I don't stop reducing, the panel will completely collapse out. Okay, so that's the main reason why we have a minimum width. So what we need to do is this particular panel, as it keeps on reducing like this, when it reaches the minimum width, I have to stop reducing. And the same thing also when it keeps expanding from the minimum state, when it reaches a particular point which is going to be the maximum width, I have to stop expanding. Otherwise this same panel will go on expanding throughout. Okay, so let us try to do that in code right now. So now what I will do is, here I am having, that is sliding panel dot width minus equals to 30. So after this I am going to check if the present slider panel width, that is if sliding panel dot width, I have to check if it is less than or equal to minimum slider width, that is min slider width. If it is less than or equal to minimum slider width, then obviously it's time for me to stop retract. Okay, so when at this point of time I can say that the sliding panel is completely retracted down. Let's say probably like this, it's like completely retracted down, and it's time for me to stop retracting it or to reducing its width. So then the present state of the sliding panel is retracted. So it means that this variable here has to be false, because the present condition, the sliding panel is not expanded, right? So I'm going to say is sliding panel expanded equals false. So this is going to make sure that the state of the sliding panel is correctly registered here. And once I have finished doing this, I'm going to say that the sliding panel timer has to stop, because it's time for us to stop retracting, and that actually stops the timer and the retracting process is completed. And once we have done this, it's always better that we refresh the page so that any other anomalies or things will be handled off. So I'm going to say this dot refresh. Okay, so now we have seen about retracting the panel. Now what if I want to expand the panel? That is, if the current condition is already false, that is, if the sliding panel expanded is false, it also means that the present state of the sliding panel is retracted. So now I'm supposed to expand it. Okay, so I'm going to write the else part. Okay, so in the else part, I'll just comment that we need to expand the panel. Okay, good. So now I'm going to expand the panel. Now expanding the panel will be similar to this. So what I'll do is I'll just copy paste this code. Okay, I'll do Control C and Control V down here. So here, instead of minus equals to, I need to do plus equals to, because here we are going to increase the width. So as we keep on expanding, we are going to increase the width, okay, not decrease the width. So I'm going to change this to plus equals to 30. And here the sliding panel dot width, we have to make sure that if it is greater than or equal to the max slider width, okay, if it is greater than or equal to the max slider width, okay, there is some error here. Oh, I have called as this is slider width. This is a small spelling mistake I made, that's all. So okay, so if the sliding panel dot width is greater than max slider width, and then I have to stop expanding. Okay, so I'm going to say that you need to stop expanding here, and since this slider panel is already expanded, I can say that the condition that is sliding panel expanded, that is true. Okay, because it is expanded right now. And then again you're going to stop the timer because we have finished expanding work, and then you're going to say this dot refresh. Okay, so before we continue running, before we run this program, what we have to say is that we have to set the values for this, because right now this is error because we have not set any values for this. So right now let us go and set this value. Okay, so this width, if you want to know what is this current width, what you have to do is come down to a property called as size. Okay, in this size, whatever you see here in this right hand side, this is your length, your height. Okay, this thing here is your width. All right, so I need my width to be 300 because I feel 300 is a reasonable size. Okay, let me just drag this button so that it fits in. Okay, so I'm going to say that the maximum size or the maximum width for my panel, my sliding panel, has to be 300, and I will say that the minimum value, which is the minimum border. Let me just check this out. I've clicked this. Okay, I'm just trying to compare the size. I feel that size is somewhat all right. Let me see what's the size right now. It is 119, so probably this should be like 100. So 100 would be good retracted size, and 300 would be a decent expanded size. You will have to try this out. See, now I have put it as 300 and I'm going to select my minimum value as to be 100. So it might be a little different for you. It totally depends upon your total size of your user interface and how much you want it to come. So based on that, you just try tweaking these values so that you can get a more perfect kind of a result. Okay, so let's just run this right now. And I have my login form shown here. So when I click this button, you can see that it has retracted. Now it's expanding. You can't see anything here because I don't have the panel shown. Okay, so now one thing, every time when I'm going to run this program, it's kind of annoying because first the login panel is going to come up and then my second panel. So every time I have to keep on putting my password on. So just for now, just for the development process, I'm going to make sure that the login panel is not shown. So let me show you how to do that. So let us go to your Solution Explorer. You can see that you have a something called as your C# program.cs. You just click on that. It's going to take you to this part. Here you can see that you have a line of code saying that application.run new form 1. So instead of this form 1, I'm going to say app body. Okay, so what this does is, now if I'm going to run the program, it's not going to take me to the login form. It's going to directly open my app body. Okay, so that is easier for me to work with. All right, so later on, once I've completed my project, I will turn this back to my form 1. Okay, good. So now, okay, I'll just give it a background colors just so that it's going to become a little bit more clear to you. I'm going to the back color property, light sky blue. So now comes the next part of it, the graphics. I don't want it to be a plain button like this. Fine. So now what I'll do is, I have got this one button. I'll need some more buttons for the different panels. So what I'll do is, I'll click on this. I'll copy this with Control C and I'll paste it with Control V. Okay, so I've pasted one after the other, so many panels. Now what I'll do is, I'll click on this panel. Okay, okay, I'll just rename all this panel according to what I want. So I mean, sorry, this is a button right now, no? So this button is called as the sliding panel toggle button. So similarly, this button, okay, it is called as button 1, button 2, button 3, but I'm going to give it a little bit more meaningful name. So I'll just quickly go and change the names of all these buttons. Okay, okay, so I've this is my sliding panel toggle button. Here this is my books tab button, my borrowers tab button, transaction tab button, settings tab button, and about tab button. So I'll be calling this as tabs from now on. Okay, but these are buttons, so please don't get confused. Uh, okay, so now I want to be changing the text that is presented in these buttons. All right, okay, so first what I'll do is, I'll just give some text for these buttons. Okay, okay, so now I have to change the font size, so I'll select all of these guys. Okay, I'm selecting all these buttons and I will go to the font property here, and here I'm going to alter my fonts. Okay, I'm going to give it a bigger font. Let me try 20. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with 20. If you want, you can also change your font size. There is not much of a problem in that. Anyway, it totally depends on what you would like. For now, I'll just leave it as it is. Okay, and I want all these buttons to be transparent. So what I'll do is, I'll select all these buttons from the top. Okay, now I'll go to the background image. Okay, or sorry, I'll go to the background color and I'm going to select from this. I will be going to the web panel and here you can see transparent. So I'm going to click on transparent. So basically all these buttons you see here, they are all transparent. All right, now I'm going to give a picture for this sliding panel here. So I'm going to click on this picture. I'm going to go to the back image property here. Okay, so then I'm going to click on import and I have a picture here for my slider bar. I'm going to open this picture. Okay, so that is imported to my project and I'm going to click OK. So now my sliding panel is loaded with that picture, and here instead of tiling the image, I'm going to ask it to stretch the image. Okay, so it's compactly fitted inside within my background. All right, and if you can see, these buttons are transparent because now this background is actually from the background of the panel. So the button is actually transparent and the image which is there in the background has been visible here. Okay guys, so I'll be stopping this video right here because it's been quite too long. In the next part, I'll be continuing with this with the remaining portion of this video. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye until then.